this is Dominic, wedding DJ.
And this is Serena, wedding planner.
And together we are the Wedding Duo. We are here to talk all things weddings.
Planning a wedding can be stressful, but we are here to help.
So before you say, that's it, we're going to Vegas, don't go to Vegas.
Let's have some fun.
Join us as we answer your wedding questions and help navigate planning one of the biggest days of your life with
the Wedding Duo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast once again.
It is wonderful to be here. And if you are a loyal listener, you probably noticed that we skipped a week. We are in the middle of a crazy October month of events here in San Antonio. So we appreciate you sticking with us. If you're new to our podcast, welcome. We have a lot of really great episodes before this. So please check back. 23, 24, something like that, somewhere in that realm.
So today's episode, we are going to talk about the time you need or the time you want from, oh my God, I got a ring, I'm engaged. When do you want to get married? Do you want to get married in 6 months or do you want to get married in 18 or 24 months? Like how far out do you want to push the big day?
And there's so many factors when it comes to deciding this, right? So the first thing is like when during the time of year did you get engaged, right? Like did you get engaged over the Christmas holiday and then in your mind you've always envisioned a summer wedding? Well, that kind of limits your options, right? Because you've really got to either do 4 or 5 months or a year and 4 or 5 months, right?
Yep. And I think a lot of people think initially, oh yeah, what, few months, put this together, let's do it. And then you get into the process and you realize, holy cow, there's so much involved. But not for everybody.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about the differences. I mean, and a lot of you listening may already be like, I'm already 6 months into my 18 months journey. But there's still going to be things that will pertain to you and maybe things to consider on this episode. But if you just got engaged and you're looking for a venue and a date, this is absolutely some things you may want to consider.
Right. So as we mentioned, when you first get engaged, something I always mention too is take your time deciding this, right? It's really not something you have to rush on. I mean, a lot of brides do because they're excited, and I totally get that.
The people that a lot of times on the wedding day, they were like, somebody, the best man, maid of honor, will make a toast like, it's about time. You guys were engaged for 10 years.
Right.
Like we all had, or they've been together for 12 and they've been engaged for 7. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we've known those people too. Yeah, absolutely. So you can take your time in making these decisions. And also, you can just enjoy being engaged. I know I've mentioned this on previous podcasts that, you know, there isn't any rules about like when you get engaged and then when you have to start actually planning the event.
Right.
But the thing that will determine this is when you actually decide on your venue, thus giving you a date. That's when you give yourself the timeline right there.
Because you're going to start looking at venues because that's how you get a date. And I know we've mentioned this on other podcasts, but some people say like, oh, we picked October 15th. And as a DJ, I'm like, oh, where's your venue? They go, oh, we don't have one yet. And I go, oh, well, I hate to tell you this, but you don't have a date yet. Because once you go to the venue, they'll be like, oh, October 15th has been booked for, 18 months already. I can give you October 7th or October 23rd. And they're like, well, those are Fridays and Sundays. Like, well, yeah, October is incredibly busy month. For us here in Texas, it is the far and away the busiest month. November is busy. September is busy. The spring is busy. But October is the eye of the storm for us. So if you want October in Texas, if you're not 18 months out, you better wrap your head around the idea of having a Sunday or a Friday, which is fine. But everybody wants a Saturday first. So that's another factor. Do you want a Saturday? Maybe give yourself a little bit more time, push it further out.
Exactly. So if you just got engaged and you're like, we really have ants in our pants, we want to get married, we just want to get to the altar, there are a few things that you may have to let go of. I don't know how to say that properly, but
sacrifice is a strong word. But it's just like you just have to make a decision like you're just okay with it. But it's not just like get to the altar. There are people that like, I want to get a house. I want to start a family. I want to move on with life. I don't want to wait 2 years to make this official to move on with it. But then the other side of it is like, no, I want the dream wedding. I want all the bells and whistles. I want everybody I've ever met to come.
Right.
Then you want to give yourself some more time. So these are some of the
Absolutely.
things, like I said, that we're putting on different sides of the scale here.
Okay.
To figure this out.
So the first thing that I talk about, and that we talk about is the venue. Okay. We just kind of mentioned it a little bit, talking about dates, but it's also, the pick of the venues, right? Like, do you want one of the premium venues in your area? They're going to book out really far. So if you are looking at a shorter time frame, you're going to have to be more flexible with where you're going to host the event.
And there are, again, let's go back to Texas. So October is really popular. August is not, for
Correct.
obvious reasons. And I always say, because people spontaneously combust here in Texas. And August it gets really hot. And there's a venue and it's beautiful. And let's say you got engaged over the holiday season in January. You visited this venue in March and it was perfect. It was beautiful, but it's all open air. And they were like, oh, we have lots of dates in August. You're like, oh, that's wonderful. We want a Saturday. You take August. Guess what? That open air venue, the reason it was available is because it's so hot. And this
Exactly.
is why people still want to do it, because they want to get married. But just be aware that it's a long day, and the tuxedos and the wedding dresses are not built for comfort or convenience, and it can be less enjoyable,
Exactly. And so that's something to really consider. Like, are you willing to sacrifice the enjoyment of the day and
Right.
possibly weather concerns just to get married quicker?
Not enjoyment of the day. You're just rolling the dice a little bit more, I think, with the weather, with something like that.
Oh,
right?
it's absolutely enjoyment of the day. If you're sweating and your makeup is melting and you're not
your
enjoying
guests-
the
your
day
guests
as
too.
much.
And
Yeah.
for me, I'm trying to get there, and this venue in my head that I'm thinking of, I've done many an event in August there. It's so hot, but then everybody's been sweating all day, and then I'm like, hey, let's all come on the dance floor and jump around like crazy people. I go, really? Are they really going to come out? But I've been very impressed with my guests at these events, where
Sometimes
I'm
they
like,
really are
hey,
committed.
if they're ready to dance, they're ready to dance. But there needs to be a lot of alcohol.
Mhm.
It's
helpful.
It helps. Me and the bar, we're best friends when it comes to dancing.
Yeah. So that's something just to, talk about, discuss with your significant other, with your family.
Speaking of family, another thing to consider is if you have a bigger guest count, sometimes you need more time just to work the logistics of that. But if you have if you're out of town, both of you live somewhere else that you found jobs or whatever, and now everybody, both sides of the family are traveling, they're going to need more time than maybe 3 months to get their schedules in order, to get their time off from work or whatever, buy tickets, get hotel rooms. If everybody's traveling, that's another thing. You may want to give yourself a little more time to get this.
And on the other side of that, if you're planning a destination event where you're going somewhere, right, and you're taking people with you, that's the same type of thing. People are going to need time to plan that, right? They're going to need to be able to buy tickets. And
unless you don't want people to come, then there's another side of this where you're like, we're doing it in 3 months. Everybody's like, oh, but I can't get work. Oh, I'm so sad. You can't come. Oh, well, I'm sure I'll get married again someday.
maybe
No,
not.
but that's the thing. And people are like, you know what? We just want a few friends, and we're going to head to the beach. Me and my significant other, and bring a couple friends, and let's just have a weekend of it. That's definitely a 3-month thing. Plan that 3 months out. Easy.
Exactly. And that has to do with, right after you get engaged, what is your vision, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is important to y'all, and what do you have your heart set on? Do you want the big, all out, every professional vendor event? Or, like he mentioned, are you okay with just a few close friends, family members going down to the beach? That is a totally personal decision. We will never tell you one is better than the other.
Yeah, because if you didn't notice yet, weddings can get expensive really quick. And you start putting that money on a trip to the beach this day,
Yeah.
All the wedding vendors in the world is like, shut up, Dominic. There's plenty of weddings. There's plenty of people doing weddings. But there's a lot of people that are like, let's put this money on a vacation. Let's go somewhere.
We are not trying.
That's a whole thing. I can't blame you one bit.
We are not trying to dissuade you from having a wedding. We just want you to have the wedding that you feel good about and that represents you. And then also be able to plan it in a good time frame. So something else that's really important that I don't know that every bride knows is your dress. Okay. So if you envision getting a custom dress or even a designer dress, it takes time to get that dress in from the designer. So
back up a step to find the dress you want.
Well, correct.
My bride this past weekend, I was like, your dress is beautiful. She goes, well, and the maid of honor was like, it should be. She looked at 400 dresses. I go, oh
dear.
yeah. Okay. You were that bride. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't want to get to the dress shop, fall in love with a dress, and you already have your date in 4 months and they can't get the dress in time for alterations. So it does help to have a realistic view of, okay, I can go dress shopping. I'm a year out. I've given myself plenty of time to get the dress back and get alterations. Or I'm only going to shop off the rack because I know I only have 3 or 4 months, right? And I know that then I will have the dress in time to get it altered.
Yeah. And speaking of dresses, that kind of leads to your wedding party as well. Are your bridesmaids
Yes.
going to be able to get their dresses and to get their alterations done? And that's kind of another thing. Another factor is if you get engaged and you're like, let's do this in 6 months, right? And you're just going to have one best man, one maid of honor, or just nobody, just the two of you up there, maybe your parents. But if you're going to have 15 on each side, right?
Right.
This going to take a while to get all the, because you're always going to have those two friends that are just like, will you go get your tux fitted? Come on, get it. Like tell Billy to get his behind in there and get the tux. Like, I know, I told him, I texted him, I called him. He won't get it. You just need time for those slow pokes to get fitted, to get their dress, to get whatever it is you need to do. So that's another factor. If you plan on having really a good sized wedding party, again, maybe give yourself a little more time, right?
Right. And something that I'm going to mention here, I'm going to name drop a business. If you are looking for wedding party outfits, what is the word? Wedding party
suits,
tuxedos, and dresses, outfits. There are 2 sites that we really love that we are going to recommend. So the first one for your bridesmaids is Azazi, and that is a great site for.
I'm going to need you to spell that.
I don't really know. I think it's Azazie.
Okay.
They have a plethora of design options, colors for bridesmaids, mother of the bride, flower girl dresses, and they're like. Customer service is really great. It's a really great experience if you have the time to allow your bridesmaids to get them back, get them fitted and everything. And then for suits, the Suit Shop. So they are an amazing company that does, you can actually purchase the suits instead of renting them for around the same price as it would cost you to rent and then have to return. Mm-hmm. And then maybe you have to pay because you split the pants or something, right? And it's not actually yours.
Especially if your man's like, if maybe you're like, he doesn't have a suit. No, there's a lot of guys that just whatever their line of work is, or they've just never had the need for a suit. Mm-hmm. There's other people that have like 15 suits, but obviously they're in an industry where they would wear it. But there was a time in my life where I'm like, I need a suit, right? So if you want to get your man a suit, I'm just speaking as if there's only women listening, or gentlemen, if you want to get yourself a suit, it's really good. You do need to, they will virtually fit you. You'll have a fitting with them. And then they send you the suit. You do still need to get the pants hemmed. And I usually get my jacket taken in just a little bit around the waist.
Right. So you want to allow time for that. But these are two, there's a lot of other great websites out there if you're considering virtual fittings and, options for that. But those are 2 that we really love and recommend. So check them out for sure. The other thing that you're going to want to consider if you're looking at timeframes for your event is your vendors, right? So
this is a really big one.
It is a really big one. We book based on availability, right? There's only one of us, or there's 4 or 5 of us, but as soon as we book out on a certain date, there's no more. Like you call us, we say, sorry, we can't help you because we're full, right?
When somebody calls, like, again, October 15th, this is coming up, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody calls and says, hi, we're getting married. This could have been 6 months ago. We're getting married October 15th. I'm like,
sorry.
This October 15th? Like, and I try not to go, that's cute. I'm not trying to be mean, but I mean, because a lot of people don't realize, but the Saturdays in October have been full for a long time. And we turn away tons of business because it's a popular month. But if you're late to the party and you found a venue, the venue is only the first stop, right? Then, and again, if you're trying to get a lot of the professionals done, you got to find a florist, you got to find a caterer, you got to find a DJ, you got to find a photographer, you want to find a videographer,
planner,
an officiant, you want to find a planner. There's a lot of people. And if it's a busy date, they're all busy, right? They've all already had their phones ringing off the hook for that date. And again, which brings me back to August, for example, here in Texas, somebody says, we're getting married, like, here's our day. And I'm like, oh, August? Yeah. I mean, I didn't have to look.
Right.
But the other
Yes,
thing I
we
don't look
do.
is if they say we're getting married in 2024. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, we're good.
I don't even have to look because I know we're not there yet, you know?
So the question comes up sometimes like, how soon is too soon? Like,
Yeah.
are you bothering us or are we not able to book the event? And for us, we really try to stay within 2 years to 18 months, right?
Well, that's when people are asking. I mean,
Exactly.
we're not turning people away. They're trying to get married
I'm just
10
saying
years
if-
from now. It's just
if-
they don't ask for that.
Right. But I'm just saying if you're out there and you're trying to figure out like, oh, should I start, considering hiring my vendors? If you're within 18 months, it's not too soon.
Absolutely not.
It isn't.
Especially if you want your pick of the litter. You saw that DJ, you want that DJ. You saw
Mhm.
that photographer, you're like, oh my God, I love her work.
Right.
That's the person you want, then you're going to have to give yourself a little more time. Because if they're very popular, their calendars are going to be very busy, right?
And speaking of photographers, it's also helpful to book your photographer relatively quickly so that you can get engagement shots if you want and have those ready for the wedding if you're going to display those.
Or for the save the date.
Yeah,
Or for
you
the
can use
invitations.
those
You
on
can
your
use them there.
invitations.
You
So
get pretty creative with these.
with the
invitations.
photos,
Yeah.
but that takes time, right? It takes time for them to schedule the session, edit the photos, and get them back to you so that you can use them. So that's something you're going to want to look out for sure.
What if you want to drop 15 pounds? How about that?
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
You absolutely
But-
should not even be thinking that.
There are times when
I'm
I
going
look
to
in the
smack
mirror,
you upside the head
look in
for
the mirror.
even
No,
saying
me.
that.
I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, this little chin here needs to easy on the soda consumption. You need time. I'm just saying you need time for stuff like this.
To lose weight?
Okay, do we need to pretend like this is not something that every woman in the world is thinking about? on
Well,
their
you
wedding
just
day?
said it was you.
Guys too. Guys should be like, I think about it. I'm talking about me, but I don't want to pretend like the women out there in the world. It is a concern. I mean, it's a thing.
It
It's a
just
thing.
sounds
They
bad
shouldn't.
coming
They
from
shouldn't.
you.
I know. I'm okay. I'm officially an ass, but it's a thing. It's hard, right? It's a hard thing.
All right, ladies.
Don't starve yourself, but if you want time to like be healthy and just, okay, I'll stop talking.
Just
I'm
be
gonna stop
quiet.
talking.
Yeah, we're just going to stop it right there and move on. So, what else is important?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of well, I think we've hit some of the big hitters there for
Mhm.
sure, but it's really just for me, it's always like, I talk to couples and they're like, we're very, we're looking for a simple event. We're not looking for crazy stuff.
Sure.
And what's your focus, right? Sometimes they're like, we just want good music. We want to dance. They can eat peanut butter and jelly. We don't care.
Mhm.
And then other people are like, no, we're foodies. We want a 3-course meal. We're not really big dancers. I'm like, okay, well then maybe look for the good caterer or the caterer you want. But you're like, you can have a playlist plugged into their sound system, right? So
Sure.
it really depends on your focus and how bougie you want to get with it, right?
Something else, too, I think that is helpful is to consider the budget, because if you have 18 months to plan your event, it's much easier to budget for these things than if you're doing it 3 or 4 months
Oh,
out
yeah,
and you have all those bills that are going to stack up on you within that time frame, right? And so I think that's another reason. It's not the main reason, I don't think, but it's another reason why couples plan so far out is so that they can either make payments or they can pay all those deposits up front and then wait to pay the rest later.
Let the bank account recover.
Yeah. So that is something for you guys that are concerned with the budget to really keep in mind, is that if you give yourself more time, you can plan it out and you can actually probably spend a little more money because you have the time to recover, like you said.
And if you're not wanting to spend a lot of money, if you're doing it where your papa is allowing you to mow the back 40 on his property and you're going to bring in tables, your cousins are going to do barbecue, your friend from work is going to take pictures. I mean, that's a lot easier to do it. Hey, we're going to do it in 3 months from now. Like,
Right.
yeah, you can, if it's going to be kind of a
DIY.
Heavy DIY and friends and family picking up the slack there, that's not the same. That's like,
It isn't.
that's not the same because like your cousin who just does photography on the side probably isn't booked up every Saturday.
Sure.
So it's just it's just a different entity. You can still fit in a professional here and there. If you just like, I really want good pictures or I really want a good DJ,
Right.
or I really want a good caterer, like maybe, because that happens a lot. I'll show up at an event and I'm like looking around like, oh, I'm the only one that does this for a living here. I mean, it could be a great event. It could be fabulous, but it's just sometimes you want to not put that pressure on your dad to run the barbecue. Cause I've had that where the father of the bride's back there
Yeah.
flipping burgers. And I'm like, and he's miserable because he didn't get to enjoy the event at all. Or your mom is
Sure.
the planner. Talk
Yeah.
to a mom. We've had these couples come through with a mom, and this conversation has happened so many times. This is at a wedding fair. She walks up and she's like, we're hiring a planner because her sister got married 2 summers ago
Mhm.
and I did everything and I did not enjoy it one bit. It was too much. I was running
Right.
around. This time around, when her sister's getting married in 6 months,
I'm not doing it.
I am not doing it.
Yeah.
We are hiring somebody. So talk to somebody in the family that has been down that road recently and be like, oh my God, you don't want to do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. There. Now the other vendors are happy with me again because I said, you want to bring in some professionals if you can, if the budget allows.
No, that's true. But you guys, we have something exciting we want to chat about here. Now, we've talked a little bit about, the time frame for your wedding, but let's dive into something new that we are doing.
Exciting and new.
It's going to be on all our social channels, so you won't be able to miss it. But we are partnering with Timeline Genius
Genius.
because it is genius. You guys, I was a little skeptical, at first, because I'm like, I've created hundreds of timelines, right?
Hundreds.
How can this be any better? It is better. It is way better. It is a process that you just, I can't even tell you without you guys going through it.
Basically, if you're a DIY out there, but you're like, I don't know how to do a timeline. I've never done a timeline. I want help. This is like just hold your hands right through the whole thing. And even us that we've done hundreds of them, I was just like, oh, this is pretty cool. We got to start using this.
Absolutely. So there's going to be 2 avenues that we can direct you on. If you want to do it yourself, all yourself, right? You can go through the link that's going to be on our website and it'll take you there and you can sign up to do your own timeline, which is great. Or you can book a consultation with us where we will take you through creating the timeline with Timeline Genius. And we'll also give you tips on, all the stuff that we know. So it's really huge. This is so exciting. I think it's going to be just a lot of fun and great for couples.
See, now the vendors out there are like, no,
It's
the
okay.
planners are
They'll
mad
be
at
all
us
right.
again.
They'll
No,
be
but
okay.
It is really, it was built for wedding planners to plan, to be like a tool for them to use. And
Sure.
now they're kind of bringing it further down a notch to the DIY people. And they reached out to us and said, hey, all the people you talk to would benefit from this. I'm like, yeah, hey, if you want to help, like you can do it yourself or you can have us go through it with you. It's still, if you're really concerned about your budget, this would be a helpful way to do so.
So you know how to get a hold of us. Find us on TikTok, Instagram, go to our website, theweddingduo.co. Let us know. We are available for consulting. But we will end our episode today the way we end every episode.
It is a very personal day. Do people get tired of hearing this? They hear it, everyone.
No, I
Do
think
you?
they're okay.
That's what I always say. Don't let somebody talk you into something you don't want to do or talk you out of something you have your heart set on. It's your day.
You do you. And we'll
Boom.
seal it with a kiss.
Mwah.
Aw. Happy wedding planning.
Hey, so thanks for listening to our podcast. If you found any of this information helpful and you know somebody who may be engaged or is a maid of honor, maybe you could tell them and share it with a friend.
Absolutely. So screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag The Wedding Duo. We promise to share the love back. Also, if you are interested in more resources or the show notes, you can go to theweddingduo.co. We have one-on-one virtual sessions, a shop, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out.